Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Nintendo is a name many people know today. All over the world, people play Nintendo video games. Famous characters like Mario and popular games like The Legend of Zelda are loved everywhere. Children and adults enjoy Nintendo game machines like the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo seems like a modern company, full of fun and new ideas for entertainment. But here is a surprise. Nintendo is much older than most people think. The company started more than 130 years ago in Japan, and for almost 100 years, Nintendo did not make any video games at all. Its history is long and very different from what it is today. So, what was Nintendo doing all that time? It began as a small shop making playing cards by hand. These were special Japanese cards called Hanafuda. These cards became popular for playing games but also for gambling. Some criminal groups were important customers for Nintendo's cards. Later, the company's leader wanted Nintendo to grow bigger. He tried many other kinds of business. Nintendo tried selling instant rice that cooked quickly. It ran a taxi company for a short time. Some stories say they even managed special hotels where rooms were rented for short times. Most of these new businesses failed. Nintendo lost a lot of money and almost had to close down several times. This history seems very strange compared to the Nintendo we know now. It started as a small card maker, had links to gambling, and failed at many businesses. Today, it is a giant company famous for family fun and video games enjoyed by millions. How did this happen? How did this old Japanese card company change so much to become a world leader in electronic entertainment? This is the amazing story of Nintendo's long journey. 2. Making cards. The story of Nintendo begins a long time ago, in 1889. A man named Fusajiro Yamauchi started a small shop in Kyoto, Japan. He called his company Nintendo Koppai. Fusajiro was good at art and wanted to use his skills in his business. Fusajiro made special playing cards called Hanafuda. Hanafuda means flower cards. These cards were very beautiful. Fusajiro made them by hand. He used paste from tree bark and clay to make the paper strong. He painted lovely pictures on them using natural colors from flowers and berries. The pictures showed flowers, moons, animals, and mountains. They did not have numbers like Western cards. At that time in Japan, most playing cards were not allowed. This was because people used them for gambling, and gambling was against the law. Also, Japan was closed off from many foreign things. But Hanafuda cards were different. They looked more like art than normal playing cards. Because of this, the government allowed people to make and sell them. However, people could still use Hanafuda for gambling games. Soon, criminal groups called the Yakuza started using Fusajiro's cards. The Yakuza ran secret gambling places. They liked Nintendo's cards because they were very well made and high quality. For their games, they needed new cards often to stop people from cheating. This meant they bought many cards from Nintendo. The Yakuza quickly became Nintendo's biggest and most important customers. Fusajiro's business started to grow. At first, he made all the cards himself, painting every detail. But soon there was too much work for one person. He hired a small team of workers to help him make the cards under his watch. To sell more cards across the country, Fusajiro made a deal with a tobacco company. This company sold Nintendo cards in its shops all over Japan. Later, around 1907, the rules about Western-style playing cards became less strict. Nintendo was ready and became the first Japanese company to make these cards too. Nintendo became very successful. After 40 years of hard work, Fusajiro decided to retire. He was 69 years old, but he did not have a son to take over the company. In Japan, it was usual for a son to lead the family business. So Fusajiro arranged for his daughter to marry a businessman named Sekirio. Sekirio became part of the family and took the Yamachi name. In 1929, Sekirio became the new president of Nintendo. Sekirio was a good leader for the next 20 years. He used his business skills to help Nintendo become even bigger. He built better systems for making cards, made new partnerships, and hired sales staff. Under Sekirio, Nintendo became the #1 playing card company in all of Japan. 3. The new leader. The president of Nintendo, Sekirio Yamachi, became very sick. He had a stroke. His grandson, Hiroshi Yamachi, was only 21 years old and studying law at university. But in 1949, Hiroshi got a call. He needed to leave university and become the new president of Nintendo. Hiroshi agreed immediately, but he asked for one surprising thing. He wanted all his family members working at Nintendo to lose their jobs. Hiroshi wanted everyone to know that he was the real leader now. Sekirio agreed, and Hiroshi took control of the company. Sekirio died soon after. Hiroshi was young and did not have much business experience. Many workers did not like him. They thought he only got the job because he was the old president's grandson. But Hiroshi had big plans. He wanted Nintendo to be famous all around the world. He did not want Nintendo to only make playing cards. He believed the company needed to change and try new things. He fired workers who did not agree with his ideas or who wanted things to stay the same. In the 1950s, Hiroshi visited the United States. He saw how popular Disney characters were. He made a deal with Disney. Nintendo started printing Disney pictures on its playing cards. This was a smart idea. Now families and children liked Nintendo cards, not just people who used them for gambling. The cards became popular with more people, but Hiroshi wanted more. He wanted Nintendo to be a global company selling many different things. He changed the company's name to just Nintendo. Around 1963, Nintendo tried selling many new products. They tried making instant rice. They started a taxi company. There were also stories that Nintendo managed love hotels, places where people paid for rooms by the hour. But these new businesses did not work. They all failed. Nintendo lost a lot of money and was close to having no money left. Hiroshi learned an important lesson. Nintendo was good at making entertainment products like cards. He needed to focus on entertainment but find something new. 4. From toys to games. After the failure of his other businesses, Hiroshi Yamachi needed a new idea for Nintendo. One day in 1966, he was walking through the company's card factory. He saw a worker named Gunpei Yak playing with something interesting. Gunpei had made a toy in his free time. It was a plastic arm that could stretch out and grab things. Hiroshi liked the toy very much. He called Gunpei to his office. Gunpei was worried he might lose his job for playing at work, but Hiroshi had good news. He wanted Nintendo to make and sell Gunpei's toy. He called it the Ultra Hand. Hiroshi asked Gunpei to help make 1 million of them for Christmas. The Ultra Hand was a huge success. Nintendo sold over 1.2 million Ultra Hands. This toy saved Nintendo from having serious money problems. Gunpei Yokk got a new, important job making toys and games. Nintendo started making more toys. Some were successful, but none sold like the Ultra Hand. For a while, Nintendo still had money problems. Then Gunpei had another great idea. One day he was riding a fast train. He saw a businessman playing with an electronic calculator to pass the time. This gave Gunpei an idea for a small game people could carry with them. He created a simple electronic game that used watch batteries. In 1980, Nintendo started selling it. They called it the Game & Watch. People loved these small games. You could play them anywhere. The Game & Watch became very popular all over the world. It sold millions and helped Nintendo make a lot of money again. Around this time, arcade video games like Space Invaders were becoming popular in Japan. Hiroshi saw another chance for Nintendo. He decided Nintendo should make its own arcade games. Their first try was a game called Radar Scope. It was similar to Space Invaders. Hiroshi started a new company, Nintendo of America, to sell Radar Scope in the United States. But American players did not like Radar Scope. They thought it was just a copy and wanted something new. The game failed badly. Nintendo of America was left with 3,000 expensive arcade machines that nobody wanted. 5. Meet Mario. Nintendo of America had a big problem. Their first arcade game in America, Radar Scope, was not popular. They had 3,000 expensive Radar Scope machines sitting in a warehouse. Nobody wanted to play them. Nintendo needed a new game idea fast to put into these machines. Back in Japan, the company president asked a young designer for help. His name was Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto did not have a lot of game design experience, but he had an interesting idea. He wanted to create a game about a large ape who captures a princess. A brave hero had to rescue her. Miyamoto designed the characters and the game. The hero wore blue overalls and a red hat because drawing hair was hard. The hero needed to jump over barrels thrown by the ape and climb ladders to reach the top. Miyamoto called the angry ape Donkey Kong. The president liked Miyamoto's idea very much. He told Miyamoto to make the game. The team at Nintendo of America started working hard. They took out the parts of the old Radar Scope machines and put in the new Donkey Kong game. They put the first Donkey Kong games into bars to test them. People loved playing Donkey Kong. They put many coins in the machines every day. Nintendo in Japan started making thousands of Donkey Kong games and shipping them to America. Donkey Kong became a huge hit around the world. In its first 2 years, the game earned about $280 million. The hero character in the game did not have a proper name at first. The team just called him Jumpman. One day, the American team was talking about their old warehouse landlord. The landlord often came to complain about the rent money. He had a mustache just like Jumpman. The landlord's name was Mario Segel. As a joke, the team started calling Jumpman Mario. Soon everyone liked the name and it became official. Jumpman was now Mario. Donkey Kong's success attracted attention. A large movie company, Universal Studios, thought Donkey Kong looked too much like their famous movie monster, King Kong. Universal sued Nintendo. They demanded all the money Nintendo made from Donkey Kong. This was a very serious problem for Nintendo because Donkey Kong was making a lot of money for them. Nintendo hired a smart lawyer named John Kirby. Kirby studied the case carefully. He found out that the name King Kong was used by many businesses, not just Universal. He discovered that the character King Kong was actually in the public domain. This meant that anyone could use the name and Universal did not truly own the rights. In court, Kirby explained that Donkey Kong was different from King Kong. He even let the judge play the game. The judge agreed with Kirby and Nintendo. Nintendo won the case. To thank the lawyer, Nintendo later named a new pink character, Kirby. Nintendo and Mario were becoming famous. However, the video game business in America soon faced big trouble. In 1983, the entire market crashed. Many companies failed and people stopped buying video games. It was a very bad time for the industry. 6. Games for your home. In 1983, the video game market in America had a big problem. Many companies made consoles and games, but most were not very good. People stopped buying them. Companies lost a lot of money. Even the biggest company, Atari, was in trouble. Stores did not want to sell video games anymore. But Nintendo president Hiroshi Yamauchi saw this problem as a chance for Nintendo. At this time, Nintendo only made arcade games in America. In Japan, Hiroshi had a new idea, a video game machine for people's homes. He called it the family computer or Famicom. In 1983, Nintendo started selling the Famicom in Japan. It was cheaper than other consoles and had new, fun games. The Famicom was very popular in Japan. Millions of people bought it. Hiroshi wanted Nintendo to be big all over the world, especially in America. He knew the Famicom needed changes for America. Nintendo changed the Famicom's look to make it seem more serious. They called it the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. Hiroshi knew the NES needed a great game to sell with it. He asked Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Donkey Kong, to make a new game. Miyamoto brought back the hero Mario for a game called Super Mario Bros. This game was much bigger than Donkey Kong. It had 32 levels with secrets to find. Gunpei Yokoi, who made the game and watch, helped design the NES controller with a special cross shape called a D-pad. Another person created catchy music and sounds for the game. Making Super Mario Bros. Took a long time, but Miyamoto wanted it to be very good. When the NES and Super Mario Bros. Were ready in 1985, it was hard to sell them in America. Stores remembered the video game crash and did not want to sell consoles. Nintendo promised to buy back any NES machines that stores could not sell. Nintendo also sold the NES for a low price. The plan was to make money later when people bought more games. The plan worked. The NES was a huge success. In the first year, Americans bought 3 million NES consoles. Soon, 1 out of every 6 homes in America had an NES. Nintendo sold over 60 million NES machines around the world. The NES and Super Mario Bros. Helped save the American video game market. People started buying video games again. Shigeru Miyamoto did not stop. He created another famous game called The Legend of Zelda. This game let players explore a big world. It sold almost 7 million copies and started another big series for Nintendo. While the NES was popular for homes, Gunpei Yokoi had another idea. He designed a small video game machine that people could carry with them. It was called the Game Boy. You could change game cards, called cartridges, to play different games. The Game Boy came with a very popular puzzle game called Tetris. Tetris was so fun that some people said they dreamed about the game's falling blocks. The Game Boy was even more popular than the NES. It sold out everywhere. Even the American president was seen playing one. Nintendo sold more than 100 million Game Boys. By the end of the 1980s, Nintendo was the biggest video game company in America, thanks to the NES and the Game Boy. 7. Fighting other companies. Nintendo became very famous with the NES and Game Boy. They owned almost 90% of the video game market. But soon, new companies wanted to fight Nintendo. A company called Sega started to become a big competitor in the late 1980s. Sega made a new game machine called the Genesis. In some countries, it was called the Mega Drive. The Genesis had more power than the NES. It used 16-bit technology, while the NES used 8-bit. This meant Genesis games could have better pictures and sound. Sega also advertised in a different way. They said Nintendo was for children. Sega said the Genesis was cooler and for older players too. They made games that seemed more grown-up. Sega needed a famous character like Mario. They held a contest and chose a fast blue animal, Sonic the Hedgehog. Soon it was Nintendo versus Sega and Mario versus Sonic. People called this the console wars. Nintendo did not wait. They made their own 16-bit machine, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES. The fight between Nintendo and Sega continued. Sega made their Genesis cheaper than the SNES. They put the Sonic game inside the box with the machine. Sega's ads said, "Genesis does what Nintendo don't." Nintendo fought back with great games for the SNES. In the end, Nintendo sold more machines than Sega during this time. Sega's next game machines were not very popular. But just when Nintendo thought the fight was easier, a new, bigger problem started. Nintendo wanted to use CDs for games. CDs could hold more information than the old game cartridges. This meant bigger games with better graphics. In 1991, Sony Company announced they were working with Nintendo. They planned to make a CD player add-on for the SNES. Everyone was excited. But the next day, Nintendo surprised everyone. At a big electronics show, Nintendo said they would not work with Sony. Instead, they chose a different company, Philips. Sony was very angry and felt embarrassed. The boss of Sony decided to make his own game machine using CDs. This machine was the PlayStation. The PlayStation came out a few years later. It had good 3D graphics, used CDs for games, and cost less money than Nintendo's next machine. Many people bought it. The PlayStation was a huge success. Sony became Nintendo's biggest rival. Nintendo found the next years very difficult. They released the Nintendo 64 console. It was powerful but still used cartridges, not CDs like the PlayStation. Later, Nintendo made the GameCube. Both machines had good games, but they struggled to sell as many as Sony's PlayStation. Sony released the PlayStation 2 in the year 2000. It was even more popular. It could play DVDs and people could play games online. It became the best-selling game machine ever. Then, another big company, Microsoft, entered the game world. Microsoft made the Xbox console. The Xbox was also very popular, especially with older players who liked games like Halo. Nintendo was now fighting against two very strong companies. It was a hard time for Nintendo. In 2002, after 53 years leading the company, President Hiroshi Yamauchi retired. He had made Nintendo a giant company. For the first time, someone outside the Yamauchi family would lead Nintendo. The new president was Satoru Iwata. He faced a big challenge to make Nintendo successful again against Sony and Microsoft. 8. Fun for everyone. In 2002, Hiroshi Yamauchi left Nintendo. A new president, Satoru Iwata, took charge. Iwata knew Nintendo for many years. He helped make games like Mario Kart. When Iwata became president, Nintendo was having problems. Sony's PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's Xbox were very popular. Many people were buying those consoles, not Nintendo's GameCube. Iwata had a new plan. He did not want to compete directly with Sony and Microsoft for the same players. Those companies made games mostly for expert gamers. Iwata wanted Nintendo to make games for everyone. He wanted families, children, and even older people who never played video games before to enjoy Nintendo. This idea was similar to Hiroshi Yamauchi's plan many years ago when he put Disney characters on playing cards to reach more people. To make this new plan work, Iwata asked the famous game designer Shigeru Miyamoto for help. Together, they worked on a new kind of console. This console needed to be easy and fun for anyone to use. In 2006, Nintendo showed the world its new idea, the Wii. The Wii was different from other consoles. It did not have complicated controllers with many buttons. Instead, it used special controllers that players moved in the air. You could wave the controller or point it at the screen. The movements controlled the game. It felt natural and was easy to understand immediately. Anyone could pick up a Wii controller and start playing. The Wii came with a game called Wii Sports. This game included simple sports like bowling, tennis, golf, and baseball. These were games that many people already knew how to play in real life. This made it very easy for new players. Families started playing Wii Sports together. Grandparents played with their grandchildren. The Wii became incredibly popular all around the world. For 3 years, it was hard to find a Wii in stores because they sold so quickly. In its first year, Nintendo sold more Wii consoles than Sony sold PlayStation 3 consoles, and Microsoft sold Xbox 360 consoles put together. The Wii sold over 100 million units in total. It brought many new people to video games. Nintendo found success by creating its own market for fun, simple games. Nintendo also continued its success with handheld games. The Nintendo DS, a small console with 2 screens, was another big hit. It sold even more units than the Wii. Later, Nintendo had another great idea. They created the Nintendo Switch. The Switch was special because it was 2 consoles in one. You could connect it to your television and play at home like a normal console. But you could also take it out of the house and play it anywhere, like a handheld console. The Switch became extremely popular and continues to be a big success for Nintendo. Today, Nintendo is still one of the biggest names in entertainment. Its characters like Mario, Link, and Pikachu are famous everywhere. In 2023, the Super Mario Bros. Movie came out. It was a huge success and became the most successful animated movie opening ever. Studies show that Mario is now more famous than Mickey Mouse. However, Nintendo also faces some criticism. Some people who make videos about games online are unhappy with Nintendo's rules about using game videos. Also, some groups say Nintendo should do more to protect the environment and check the conditions in factories where consoles are made. Nintendo started over 130 years ago as a small company making playing cards. It tried many different businesses and almost failed several times. But through new ideas, taking risks, and creating games that millions love, it became a world leader. From Hanafuda cards to the Ultra Hand, from Donkey Kong to the Wii and Switch, Nintendo's journey shows how a company can change and find success by bringing fun to everyone.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.